Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is our League of Ireland show and it's the first one since the return. I'm joined as always by Gary Spain and we are going to get straight into it. And the first thing we'll talk about is the game between Dundalk and St. Pat's. It finished 1-1, goals from Pat Hoban and then almost straight away a goal from Robbie Benson. A game which we both watched on a watch along and as well via the WATCHLOI stream. It was actually also on RTE as well, but I just feel as though the biggest talking point of the weekend was probably the stream and how well all the games are working and how successful it's been. So, what's been your take on that, Gary?
Yeah, it's been great, Paul. Actually, I think everyone's been impressed by the quality. A couple of small issues with audio, but I think in general, I think everyone's been very happy with it. It looks really good. It looks really professional, and it's great value for money. It's at €55 for domestic customers. I think €69, but you get all the extra Air Sports games. And I see today they've added the FAI Cup to it as well. So it's a fantastic deal. It's great. It's great to see. Great promotion for the league.
I was also seeing that I think Noel Quinn had come out and said how much. I think it was a press conference today with Gary Owens himself, and Noel Quinn said how much it's exceeded expectation, and it is actually showing that there is a good kind of source of for income and advertisement for future stuff. So I wouldn't rule this out being a thing going forward, and I think it rightfully should be. And I've been calling for a few years now, so it's great to see we're actually putting some things into place in such a kind of awkward time in the world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite taken by all the tweets from people where they're watching the games, and people from the square in Brno in the Czech Republic, people all over the United States, people watching through work in Canada, people all over Europe as well, people in Australia. And it shows that the appeal is there. Now, I assume, I think most of the people watching, I assume, are Irish people, expats. But why not build up a following abroad as well? I mean, there is opportunities for. I know people like to bet on the league as well, so maybe there's opportunities there as well.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the game, and obviously, I mentioned we watched the game, and it didn't really look like the Dundalk that we all know, and kind of you know they're known for being the attacking team, the ones that break down defenses, and we always know that generally speaking, when teams go there, they generally set up to try and frustrate Dundalk. And I thought Pat's done everything in their power to kind of get in their faces and press them and cause hassle for Dundalk. Ultimately, Dundalk had, I think Pat Hoban said today, 63% possession in both halves. So it shows they had a lot of the ball, but they didn't do anything with it. So, I was actually surprised at how well Pats did, and credit to them. But I thought it was down to a lack of fitness. Now he was quick to tell me it wasn't. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I don't think it was fitness. I mean, the four European clubs, including Dundalk, were back weeks before anybody else. So if anyone has to a case for lack of fitness, I think it's Pats. But I thought Pats played really well. Let's give them the credit first because they played really well. They were well worth the point. They did have a go at Dundalk, as you said. They did press them up the pitch. Um, they took. They were a bit unfortunate, I thought, to go behind to Pat Hoban's goal. I don't think Dundalk had done enough in the opening. What is it, 23 minutes to deserve the lead? And at that stage, you're kind of thinking, God, you've gone away from home. You're up against the champions. You've got a goal down, and it's easy for the heads to drop and feel like it's not going to be our night. And but no, they came straight back and they got the goal from Robbie Benson. Um, Dundalk may well regret letting him go, of course. But yeah, I thought Pats played really well. And you said it's not the Dundalk we know, and I'd agree with that. Um, it's it's a tough one. I mean, even if you go back before lockdown, they probably weren't firing on all cylinders at that point as well. Now it's very hard with the 4 or 5 month break, and we've already seen some crazy results. We can get onto that. But it's only one game, so I think it will tell a lot. But it was a bad night. It was a bad night for Dundalk. They didn't do enough to win the game, in my view.
Yeah, well, I got up with Patrick Hoban. You can hear what he has to say here. I am joined by Dundalk FC striker Patrick Hoban, who has now hit 6 goals this season. He's top scorer in the league at the moment. Another goal on Friday, Patrick. How are you keeping? You've just got that 1-1 draw. I suppose a surprise in many people's eyes, but what was your take on the game?
Yeah, the game was tough. Pats came with a game plan and they executed very well, and they came for the result, and that's what they got. We probably just on the night just didn't move the ball just quick enough, and we kind of played into the press. So we look back in the game and something to learn from, and to know for again. And we had 63% possession, but we just didn't create enough or move the ball quick enough. So at the end of the day, that's what happens. If you're not preparing right for these games as players, if you're not doing it on the day, you're gonna either draw or lose. So I just felt that's what happened on the night.
Obviously, a familiar face was their goal scorer, Robbie Benson, and he got man of the match on the night. He was superb. But do you feel as though, I know we'd spoken before previously about fitness and stuff like that. Do you think that might have played a factor? And the fact that when people come to play Dundalk now, I suppose, like teams used to do at Man United, they raised their game to play against us.
Yeah, I won't say fitness was an issue at all. I don't know about the other players, but I felt grand. Yeah, they definitely do raise their game. They're playing against us. They come with a game plan. They try to, either slow down the game or put 10 men behind the ball, etc., etc. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we've been used to. And, to an extent, Pat's press was very well, but they did slow down the game quite a lot too. We kept 63% possession in both halves, but we did nothing with it, so which is not good enough. And Pats did get tired towards the end, especially even in the first half as well, 10 minutes towards the end. And it's very hard to just sustain that kind of press. And, there was gaps there to exploit, but we just didn't do it on the night. And, fair play to them. They came here with a game plan and done really well. But I think it affected them on their next game.
So obviously, Dave McMillan's came in and helped, I suppose, enforce your strike force. How... I'm keeping that in.
Keep it in.
Yeah, but how much is that important now? Because you have a striker. I think Vinnie Perth had basically made out that yourself and Georgie Kelly are quite similar in many ways. That, looking at this, it's 2 different players now with McMillan coming in to help you out.
Yeah, well, Georgie's 23. He needs games. He needs to play more, and he needs to learn a lot more as well. And I think he'll get that with Pats under Stephen O'Donnell. So, it'll be a very good learning curve for him to go and get games, get minutes as well. And I think that's very good for him. And Brendan Davey, he's been at the club before. I played with Davey as well in 2014. So, it all makes sense. So, yeah, me and Georgie are similar, I suppose, to a certain extent. But it gives us different options, I suppose.
Yeah, and obviously Rovers now have gone 5 points clear. Are you worried at all? I know the fixture congestion's a bit annoying, but are you worried at all that they've gone to 5 points? I know last year you clawed that gap back, so I suppose
it's not ideal, really, is it? 12 games to go, 5 points behind, but in our dressing room, we fully believe we can go on a run and winning games, and I know you can't hang on what's happened in the past, but we've done it before. So yeah, it's gonna be tough, but sure, look here, that's what we're working with, I suppose. And with 12 games to go, it's not ideal, but all you can do is do your best. But yeah, I think we can go on a win and run and see where it takes us, for sure.
We have the early kickoff now on Friday, the 5:45 kickoff, I think it is, against Bows. You're looking forward to that now. And just before you touch on that game, just what have you made of the streaming service so far? Have you been watching many of the games?
I think the streaming service is excellent. I paid for it myself the other day. I watched the Derry and St. Pat's game the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. I know we discussed about it off camera before, saying, it's something that can definitely be done to create revenue for clubs and stuff like that. And I think it's been fantastic so far, and long may it continue. Pity there's not more league games this year to keep it going.
Yeah, definitely. But just on the Bows game then, because I think a lot of people now actually get the chance to actually watch the games rather than just hear like reports and stuff like that. So I just think it's brilliant. I know
Yeah,
it's
it is
not
brilliant.
ideal. It's not ideal having not having fans in the grounds, but the fact that people can actually watch it now, and now going forward, hopefully even around the world, they'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a platform that hopefully is going to be there for a long, long time, not just for, the pandemic we're kind of going through. Hopefully it's something that's going to be there for a long time. Because like you said, you can watch the game from anywhere around the world now. So hopefully it puts a good name out for the football in Ireland, and increases revenue as well for all the clubs too.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, thanks very much for giving us your time. All right, and I'll let you go.
No problem.
So there you go, Patrick Hoban of Dundalk Football Club, having a chat with me there just in regards to the game against St. Pat's and kind of looking ahead to the game against Bohemians. But Gary, yourself, you were at Shamrock Rovers in Tala against Finn Harps, 3-1 to the Hoops. What was your take on the game?
So, well, I could talk about Dundalk not coming back well from lockdown. The first 37 minutes in Tala, Shamrock Rovers were out of this world. They were superb. They just came out and they absolutely blew Harps away. Their passing, their movement, and everything was just fantastic. Jack Byrne was in the centre of everything, and he was my man of the match. But even guys like Dylan Watts, I thought, had a great game as well. First goal after 6 minutes from the free kick by Jack Byrne, and it ruins Finn Harps. I mean, their game plan was obviously to come down, stay very compact, come for a point, and you go a goal down after 6 minutes. And what do you do? And they didn't really have an answer. I mean, Rovers just kept coming at them. The second goal was no surprise. Dylan Watts set up by Jack Byrne. At times at 2-0, Rovers were actually just playing with Harps. It was more like a training session. Great third goal from Aaron McAniff. 3-0 after 37 minutes, you think, I was actually thinking that it could be a record score. If in Harps' first ever game in the League of Ireland, in 1969, they lost 10-2 to Shamrock Rovers. And I was actually thinking of that when Aaron McAnuff's goal went in. I said, they could get 10 if they want it. Now, it didn't pan out like that. Harps, I think the third goal sparked them into action. Along Rory Delap style throw in, and Carl O'Sullivan got a goal back within a couple of minutes. And half time probably came at the wrong time for Harps. We saw them for the first few minutes just before half time. They had a bit of a go. And it was a great first half. Second half didn't reach anything like the standard of first half. Rovers were well within themselves. They certainly weren't chasing any records or anything like that. They were able to rest, and it was rest the likes of Jack Byrne, etc., Aaron Green. The Harps had a bit of a go. I was actually quite impressed with Harps in the second half. They had a bit more about them. They never really looked like getting back into the game, and you felt Rovers had another couple of gears if they wanted it. But it was a comfortable win for Rovers. It puts them 5 points clear at the top, and with a short season with only 18 games and 6 of them played already, that's pretty ominous. And it's pretty ominous for Dundalk. You'll need to see a reaction, I believe. For Finn Harps, there was enough in the second half. They're not going to get relegated because of their results against Shamrock Rovers. It's going to be the other results that will tell a lot for Harps. And there was, for the last 50 minutes or so, quite a bit about them. So I wouldn't be too despondent as a Harps fan.
Yeah, well, I think it's, from a Rovers point of view, they're 5 points clear now. And, at this stage, I know we're only back, but it's their league to lose right now with the 5 point lead and how quick the games are going to come in fast. And, there's not that many that Dundalk can catch up with. And Dundalk, generally do better in the second half of the season. So this is where they have to have their second half of the season, and if they don't, ultimately Rovers are gonna have too much and win it. Now they have the FAI Cup success. They have winners in their teams that they'll know how to kind of, I wouldn't say win a league, but they know how to win things now. They've got their first trophy, and now they'll be looking to win their second trophy. And they've got the squad definitely to do. They're after getting Aaron Bolger in on loan. They're after extending Graham Burke's loan. So they really look like they're taking all their chances on winning this league. And I think at this point, looking at it, unless a few crazy results happen, which can happen in this league, I think Rovers will win it now at this point.
Yeah, I agree. If you ask me to pick the winner now, I would pick Rovers. I would caveat it by saying that a year ago Rovers were 10 points clear. And even, I know we've only got 2 series of games, but I think even by the end of the second series, Dundalk had already gone top on goal difference. So you can't fault Rovers. They've been superb so far. I mean, they've got 6 wins out of 6. Crucial win over Dundalk before the lockdown. They've been incredibly impressive. And so, yeah, they do look like champions, but I still think it's a bit early to tell. I mean, it's by no means over. They still have to go to Oriel Park, and they've Bohs coming to Tala in a few weeks as well. They'll go to Derry on Sunday. There's a lot of tough games coming up for Rovers as well. They've got to go to Pats soon as well, I believe. So I don't think it's over by any means. But Friday night, Bohs Dundalk will tell a huge amount.
Yeah, well, obviously, while we're on the subject of Bohs, we'll move on to them. They obviously beat Cork down there in Turner's Cross to be in the 1-0 with an Andre Wright goal, which was quite early on. No real surprises for me there. I'm actually probably surprised that they didn't beat them by more. I watched the game. Cork didn't really offer anything going forward, and Bohs, I don't even think Mandreo was in the squad. Not sure why I didn't see him in the squad, but not sure what's going on there. But even without him, they're still going into games and winning them. Danny Grant played the game, and he played on the left. I thought he was very good, and just all in all, just Bohs I just think looked a level above. I watched that actually on the WATCHLOI stream as well.
Yeah, I thought Cork had a bit of a go at them. They could have snatched something from it, but I'd agree Bohs were the better side. Good goal from Andrew White, a good stop from Mark McNulty first time, but he got the rebound. Yeah, I mean, and people, you need to look at Bohs. They're 1 point behind Dundalk. So I'm sure Bohs fans are thinking, I think too many people, maybe us included, have been talking about a 2-horse race between between Rovers and Dundalk to win the league. Now, I actually don't believe Bohs will win the league, sorry, but they're 1 point behind Dundalk. They're playing Dundalk on Friday night, and they would actually go clear second if they win. So we can't yet totally discount the fact that it's a 2-horse race, but Bohs certainly, they've made a very good start. And that was a good to come back from the lockdown, to go down to Cork and win. It's a place that Bohs have traditionally struggled in recent years. Cork had been a bit of a bogey for them. So it was a good win. I don't think Keith Long will be too worried by the fact that they only won by a goal. It was good to go away from home, down to Turner's Cross, come back with the 3 points. And they'll be buoyant going into Friday night in Dalymount.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the statistics here on the SSE Electricity League website, and, you know, Bohs had 1 shot on target, and Cork had 0. So I suppose whatever way you want to look at that, there wasn't a whole lot in it if you're going by statistics. But as I said, I just felt like Bohs, for me, this season definitely, you know, if you're talking back 2 years ago, you know, that game would have been absolute stonewalling for Cork to win at home. But now, and with no crowd as well, I don't think Turner's Cross is going to be as tough a place for people to go to as it usually is. But I spoke to Chris Twardek earlier on today, and here's what he had to say. I'm delighted to be joined by Bohemians FC player Chris Twardek. Chris, how are you keeping?
All good, man. Thanks.
No problem. So look, we're living in strange times at the moment, so it's hard to get like player interviews after games and so on. So we're kind of getting you a couple of days after the win over Cork down in Cork. But what was the feeling amongst the camp kind of going down there? Was it strange playing in front of no fans and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was different for sure, especially Cork. There's always a good atmosphere down there, and it was a hot day, and you kind of looked around in the warm up, and some of the buzz that comes from the fans and the atmosphere of that, it wasn't there. So you kind of have to make the atmosphere yourself, and most importantly, away from home, get a result. And so thankfully we did, and we're pleased about that.
Yeah, it was an early goal. Obviously, Andre Wright with the goal. But were you confident that you were going to stay in the game, or were you worried that Cork were going to come on to you at that point?
You know what? I think obviously an early goal, it can go one of two ways. It can either lead to a few more and push on from there, or sometimes it can be like your own worst enemy scoring early and having some pressure. But I think we were confident in ourselves, and we were looking to get 3 points in that game. So like I said, we're just pleased to take away the positives of that, and then we'll reflect on what we could have done better. Obviously against a quality Dundalk side coming up. So yeah, we're just it's like any game. You take away the positives and you reflect on the negatives.
Well, I was at the Shelbourne game in Talca Park against Waterford on Saturday. I kind of felt like it was a case of just kind of getting the fitness in now at this point. Every game's going to carry that bit more fitness. I think it'll be more beneficial as the games come more into play, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you can't replicate match fitness, and even your preparation games and your second preseason, a competitive game where there's 3 points on the line. It's even if it's not in front of fans, there's so much more to it. It's streamed across the Watch League of Ireland streaming service, and there's just so much more to play for whenever you're looking for 3 points, and you can see the table and see how everything's influenced by it. So it's like you said, you take in your hard work that you put over the break, and you can hope that hopefully hit the ground running quick, because with I think there's 12 games left for us. You need to pick up points as early as possible, because a slow start could mean the difference between where you finish in the league. Obviously, you don't generally look at the table after 6 games and kind of see where you're at, but with how things have shaped out, that's the reality. There's only 12 games left, so you gotta make the most of each game.
Just, you mentioned there about the WATCHLOI and the fact now that it could be watched anywhere in the world. Have you been getting more Canadian Bohemians fans on board now since you're able to watch, I suppose, from Canada?
Yeah, no, for sure. My family would always love to watch any game, so it's perfect for them that they get to see from Canada. My brother's got it, my dad's got it, so I think my girlfriend's got one here. So yeah, it's great for that side of things that my family can watch it from back home. So that's a real positive for me.
Yeah, obviously you have a huge game against Dundalk now on Friday night, so he's obviously looking forward to that. And another case to maybe get a result and build on the fitness, because we do have European games coming up as well, which I'm sure you'll want to be right in the exact mold for that point.
Yeah, it's a huge month. I think there's 5 games or so, 5+ games that we'll have, and the Dundalk game, it doesn't get much bigger than that, really. You want to play against the best teams in the league. You want to do well against them and test yourself and see what you can do. They've got good quality players. They've got depth, but really our message from the top is, we focus on ourselves and what we can do, and we'll focus on our game plan and our training week. And so we respect them and we're excited for it, but all we're doing is just focusing on what our work is.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, I just want to say thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us, and I'll let you get on with your day. So thanks again.
Nice one. Thanks, man.
So there you go. Chris Twardek with a few new Canadian fans for Bohemians watching from WATCHLOI. But on to Talca Park on Saturday. Game I was actually at Waterford 1-0 win against Shelbourne with John Martin with the goal. It was, I speak about the Bohs and Cork game there not being a very exciting fixture. It seemed to be a very, very similar case to the game I was at. Obviously Jack was reporting from the game down in Turner's Cross, but I was at this one, and Yeah, I mean, it was a game of two halves. First half, Waterford were by far the better team. There wasn't a whole lot in it, really. I mean, but they were getting the better of the chances. Not that there was too many, but they got their goal. It was Tyreek Wilson with the ball in, and Sobo Wale on his debut heads it across, and John Martin said to tap home, and he couldn't have asked for an easier finish if he tried. But from that point, kind of when Waterford got their goal, they were just seemed to be happy to defend and defend at ease. Like they really just defended at ease, and it was just, yeah, it was just watching them. It was just like this is like a walk in the park for Sam Bowen and Robbie McCourt, and at the back there playing centre back, and then you had Tyreek Wilson and Sobowale, and they just seemed to be first to everything all over the pitch, especially in the first half, and then kind of in the second half, Ryan Brennan came on. And I think it was Setner came off for him, and Shells just started getting the ball, knocking it around, but they just couldn't do anything. They couldn't get past the Waterford defence. And I go back to it was the game against Pats earlier on the season where Waterford got the goal, and then they just held on to get that win over Pats. It was a similar enough kind of thing where Shelbourne were just trying to break them down, but ultimately they just didn't create enough clear-cut chances, and that was it. And Waterford were just happy to defend, and that's all it really was.
Yeah, I think that was the opening night of the season. Actually, they pulled off that great win in Dublin, and obviously the second one again last Saturday. So yeah, it was a hugely impressive win for Waterford. I mean, I think people, myself included, had been concerned, given all the talk and upheaval during lockdown, that Waterford could end up in the relegation battle. Now, they've certainly answered that even before they played, getting people in like John Sheridan, obviously a great player, but also an experienced manager. He's been around the block, and I mean, a great man to come into our league and he obviously, as you said, set the team up so well, defended so well. I don't know how busy Brian Murphy was as well, but he's a good keeper to have as well. So, yeah, a hugely impressive win for Waterford, and it doesn't look like they're going to be in a relegation battle anymore anyway.
Yeah, well, Shelbourne obviously bounced back against Finn Harps, and we'll get to that in a sec. But we do have to talk about the fact that Waterford, two players were showing symptoms of the COVID-19, sorry, and one of them came out negative today. Now there's a piece in the Independent today with Aidan Fitzmaurice, and it just says Waterford have confirmed that the first player to be tested for COVID-19 has received a negative result. However, there's a second player who's just waiting to get tested. It says the Blues announced last night that their club doctor had resigned with fresh scrutiny on the Blues, as the FAI stated that a second player from the squad was being tested after reporting COVID-19 symptoms. Waterford, managed by ex-player John Sheridan, have suspended all football activity in the wake of the statement from the FAI that two players have been tested. And then it says the club also confirmed that the first player to be tested for the virus is still feeling unwell, and added the club will remain in isolation until he is feeling well enough to train. But it did say that the doctor, it says local media on Sureside reported that Dr. Sinead Fitzpatrick, the club doctor since 2016, has resigned her position. The club confirmed that she had left her position but offered no further comment. This is a bit weird, like coming out of a good win the other day, and after going through a lot of crap during the coronavirus where they didn't know if Lee Power was going to invest in players, they didn't know what was going to happen, and now they get the result. Things are looking a bit, on the good side, and then this kind of comes in and just kind of brings it back down for their supporters, I suppose. A bit of morale lost, I suppose you would say.
Yeah, well, it's great news. The first test was negative, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the second one will come back the same. Yeah, it has to be a concern. There was a lot of, as you said, a lot of negativity in the early stages of lockdown, and then obviously the huge boost with the talk of Daryl Murphy. I know he hasn't actually signed yet, but I believe it's still imminent. John Sheridan coming in as manager had to be a great boost to the fans, and this has to be a blow, and it doesn't. it's not good, and it's a concern for the whole league with the COVID-19 situation. I mean, well, hopefully we won't have any positive tests at any club, but I mean, it's a concern what's going to happen. I mean, Waterford have 2 games against Dundalk next week. We could mess up the European preparations as well, the preparations for Dundalk. I mean, Waterford have just come off, as you said, a fantastic win in Tolka Park. They're on 9 points. Waterford are looking at Europe. Their fans, I'm sure, are saying, we can qualify for Europe. And I think no club would really find it sweeter to get into Europe than Waterford at the moment. And yeah, this has to be a concern. And just fingers crossed that the second test is also negative.
Yeah, 100%. Just kind of the last game before we get talking about the Shelbourne and Harps game was obviously Derry and Sligo. It was actually the first game of the restart, but a surprising 2-0 win for Sligo. And you know, Derry ultimately you're thinking are going to be favourites for that one, and just didn't get a result at all. Kyle Cadden-McFadden with the first goal, header from a corner, and Ronan Coughlin with a penalty. I tried to get a hold of Ronan today, but he just said he'd do it another time, so couldn't get him for an interview. But what were your thoughts? That was obviously a huge surprise.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I was one of the people that predicted a home win for that game. So I hands up, I got it wrong, and I got it totally wrong, because Sligo were fully deserving winners. They were the better team from the start, as you said. Cadden-McFadden with a great header from the corner. It was Regan Donnellan's corner. They dominated the first half. They deserved to go in a goal up. They come out early in the second half, and Ronan Coughlin, who was probably man of the match, he was fouled for the penalty and then got up and actually took the penalty. I think that was just about 5 or 6 minutes into the second half, and at 2-0 then that was it. It was kind of game over. There was no real way back for Derry after that. And yeah, so fair play to Sligo, their first win of the season, their first points of the season. And I'm sure their fans were very concerned, being bottom of the table and pointless before the restart. And this is going to give them a massive boost. It was a great win. And they're probably very disappointed that they couldn't play the game against Waterford, because they would have been going into it on a high, having got such a great win at the Brandywell.
Yeah, like from a Sligo point of view now, do you think that they can kick on and maybe get out of this relegation battle? How do you feel about that? And from a Derry point of view, you know, they can't afford to be losing games like this if they want to, you know, get back into Europe again this season.
Yeah, well, we'll start with Sligo first of all. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're out of it by any means yet. I mean, they're well capable of kicking on and getting out of it. I mean, they're joint bottom of the table with Cork City. I think if you look at it at the moment, it's probably between Sligo Rovers, Cork City, and Finn Harps. Will probably still end up being in or around the bottom 3. Now, maybe this win will give Sligo the impetus to kick on. Who knows? But I wouldn't say they're out of it yet. I mean, they need to pick up quite a few points. From a Derry perspective, it was a very disappointing defeat. But then on Monday night, they go to Richmond Park and pull off a fantastic 2-0 win over Pats. So I was thinking Friday night, yeah, Derry, God, they were on 4 points as well. They were level with Finn Harps. They were just a point off the bottom. So it would have been a concern for them. But to go down to Richmond Park and get those, and that was a fully merited, fully deserved 2-0 win. The 2 goals in the second half from Oluwusen Akintunde, and after 49 minutes, and Conor McCormack with about 18 minutes to go. They were fully deserving winners. And I think that will... I don't think Derry for relegation was ever really realistic, but it must have been a little bit of a concern. They're up on 7 points now. I think they will certainly push on and challenge for Europe. I'm not sure. It depends which Derry City we see, whether we see more of the team on Monday night or more of the team on Friday. There's a few teams, I think, in the mix for Europe, even though the Pats team that lost to Derry. I mean, they'd been so impressive in Dundalk, and then fall a bit flat at home. Pats are in the mix. Shells are in the mix for Europe. Bows are obviously in third place. They're strongly in the mix for Europe as well. And Waterford have to be in the mix too. I mean, I think we've said this a few times, but with such a shortened season, I think every game is going to matter and every team has something to fight for. I don't think there are going to be any boring mid-table clashes.
Yeah, well, just kind of to finish off, obviously you mentioned there that Pat's Derry game, it was crucial for Derry to bounce back. Bit surprised with St. Pat's after their great performance against Dundalk. I thought they were going to go on a little bit of a run, but unfortunately they didn't. Then we go to Shells and Finn Harps last night. Another game I got to watch on WATCHLOI. Carl Shepard sent off in the 11th minute, and yeah, Shells managed to snatch a win with a Ryan Brennan header, and great goal and a great win. Like to bounce back like that after the result, they look so leggy against Waterford, and they just look second to everything. Whereas last night, to go up there in the pistons of rain and just grind out a result. Gary Deegan was unbelievable in the middle of the park and was getting rave reviews from everybody and just weathered the storm completely. And it just seemed no matter what Harps threw at Chelsea, they could actually handle it no problem. And even with 10 men for the majority of the game, 80 minutes or so with 10 men.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the 11th minute when Carl Shepard was sent off at 0-0. You're thinking, what an opportunity for Finn Harps to go on and earn 3 points at home and pull themselves well clear of the relegation zone. Yeah, as a Shells fan, Paul, yeah, I'm sure you're delighted. It was a hugely impressive win. Backs to the wall, great organisation for 80 minutes with 10 men. And to go, I think Shells would have bitten your hand off for a point after 10 minutes, 11 minutes. And instead to come home with all three, it's got to be fantastic. You mentioned Gary Deegan. He was actually superb before lockdown as well. As an absolutely crucial player. It's a huge body blow for Finn Harps. I said on Saturday that it's games like Shamrock Rovers that won't decide whether Harps get relegated or not. But games like losing 1-0 at home to 10 men in Shelbourne, who Finn Harps would have seen as potential relegation rivals. I mean, Finn Harps would actually have gone above Shelbourne had they won the game. And that is a real body blow. And it's got to be a huge disappointment. I think Finn Harps have got to bounce back from this. It's going to be really tough. I mean, they got 4 points from the first two games. They've now lost 4 on the bounce. And we need to see Harps coming back from this.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Sean Quinn earlier on of Shelbourne to get his thoughts, so here it is. Check it out. I'm delighted to be joined by Shelbourne's Sean Quinn after a 1-0 victory away from home against Finn Harps last night. Sean, after the result against Waterford, how key was it to get back to winning ways?
Yeah, look, yesterday it was just magnificent. Like, honestly, there was no better way we could have bounced back after the Waterford defeat. I think as a group, as a team, we took it with two hands, and it was quality. Like,
and just obviously with Carl Shepard getting sent off in the 11th minute, you obviously started that game after coming on against Waterford the other day. You done well. Obviously started then last night. But what were you thinking? 11 minutes, Shep gets sent off. You must be thinking at that point, oh, here we go.
We seen him getting sent off, and at first I was saying, right, I thought the ref was a bit harsh. I didn't think it was a sending off at all. And 11 minutes, I'm saying, right, I think we're in for it here. But you know what? Maybe it actually wasn't the worst thing that actually could have happened to us, because we knew as a group we had to just step up and we just had to go for it. And I really think we did that, showing what we could have actually done. It was quality.
Yeah, and kind of the fact that to go 1-0 up as well at that point, Ryan Brennan with the header, a great goal. But at that point,
what a goal!
Yeah, but at that point, you must be thinking, oh, deadly right. Well, we're gonna have to hang on here, but it's still the first half at that point, and playing that long up there with 10 men, if you're looking at the result, it's a magnificent result considering the loss the other day. To show the character to come back with 10 men and then get the result up in Ballybuffet, which everybody knows is such a tough place to go and get a result.
Yeah, like we were going up to Ballybuffet, and it was just a typical Finn Harps away day. It was lashing rain, it was windy. We knew it was going to be a battle. We got that goal, and I think as a team it was important for us not to let ourselves sit back, because if we let ourselves sit back, it just gives them an opportunity to keep us on the back foot. You know what I mean? And I really don't. In the first half, especially, we kept them. We kept them high up the pitch, and we pressed them when we could, and we sat back when we had to.
Yeah,
so I think it was a very professional and disciplined performance.
Yeah, I think what you said there, obviously, about it being a typical night up there. I mean, it's wet, it's windy. Even on the stream, it was kind of hard to see the rain coming over. But I think it's such a good thing to actually have, you know, the fact that people can watch it from anywhere in the world now, and you can stream and watch yourselves. I think that's brilliant. And I only actually was able to catch the first half because I had to go pre-season training. But the fact that I could even watch the first half was just a bonus in my eyes. What have you felt about the streaming service, and what's kind of been the feedback? Have you been watching other teams on your own WATCHLOI platform?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the streaming as a basis it's really a next step nearly for the league. Like, it's really, I think the feedback from everyone I've been getting so far has just been really, really good. In terms of my perspective, I think it's been quality. Like, I heard the stream wasn't as good last night because it was so rainy, and I think the rain was getting on the camera or something. I'm not sure.
You could still see though.
Yeah, but from previous streams, like I was watching the Pats game the other day, and I was watching the Dundalk, and you know, like, it was quality. Like, the streams are really top notch. No complaints at all.
And obviously, they've actually added commentary and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a brilliant showcase. But just in regards the lack of fans, how have you found that playing in grounds with, you know, there hasn't been any fans? It's mainly just been like a small bit of media, and then you have your two squads really and the refs.
Yeah, look, listen, the fans are our 12th player, really. You know, like, it is tough, but once you step out on the pitch, even when the fans are there, I try to just blank them out as much as I can, just because your adrenaline's so high, you're just concentrating on the game, what you have to do, get the job done, all sort. But the fans are always a help, you know. But look, we just have to settle with the circumstances, and so far it hasn't gone too bad. It's one loss and one win as well. So look, we go again Saturday, and hopefully another big 3 points on our way. Yeah,
another big away day trip. This time it's Sligo.
Yeah, very big.
And that's like, they're going to have their tails up from getting the win against Derry now. So how important will it be to go there and get a result?
Look, I think we need to go into the Sligo game with the exact same attitude. I think we went into the Finn Harps game hoping to prove other people wrong, because you're getting a bit of stick in the press and stuff after the Waterford game, and I think we bounced back and sort of said, yeah, well, use or whatever, you know, to the press. But look, it's a bit early for that as well, you know. Like, it's only one win after the break. We need to keep the momentum going now, going into the next couple of games. Like, our next 3 games are tough, you know, tough games. Every game's tough in this league, but hopefully you get a couple of points down the next 3.
Yeah, I think it's that old cliche, as everybody says, take one game at a time, and I suppose that's what you know, Shell's be looking to do. As we all know, the season's so condensed now that every game matters. But Sean, listen, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to have a chat with us.
No bother, pal, mate.
All right, thanks very much, Sean.
It's been a pleasure.
There you heard it from Sean Quinn himself. What a sound man. But yeah, that's been it for our Premier Division show. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, as I say, have your say in the comments, and get involved. And if you like this video, you know, share it around, and if you're listening on podcast, don't forget to give it a 5-star rating, and you know, subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you.